Thank you so much for joining in. And we're still on the morning show. And we do a little bit of healthcare this morning, and specifically talking about sickle cell anemia and the prevalence of that and the prevention, as the case may be. We have Zoom this morning all the way from Kebbi State. The person of Hajia Khadiza Yahaya Shantali. She's a founder, coordinator, Kebbi Sickle-Cell Association, KESCA. Thank you, madam, for joining us. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
All right. For the benefit of those who do not know what sickle cell anemia is about, can you just explain to us what sickle cell as a disease is and its prevalence in Nigeria?
Well, sickle cell disorder is inherited disorder, which means you inherit it from both of your parents. Your mother must have a sickle cell genes, and your father must also have, for you to have sickle cell disease. So, according to statistics, Nigeria have 25% of people living with sickle cell disease. And it's said that Nigeria is also the home of sickle cell patients across the world. Thank you.
Okay. How accessible are these awareness, especially as it concerns the information around sickle cell? We understand that sometimes people don't care about their genotypes. They just go ahead with the love that they have or the likeness that they have for their spouses. And sometimes even with the knowledge of the consequences of those actions, they go further. How much of this awareness do you think exists and around our nation?
Well, the awareness, I would say, is very, very limited, especially in my state, Kebbi State, which is why Sickle-Cell Association, KESCA, is born. It's an NGO made by people living with sickle cell disorder, our doctors and our parents, and anyone who wishes. The awareness is very, very limited because we have remote areas and we have a community where most people are not really aware. And we have a community who are more interested in intermarriages and who also doesn't really care much about those kind of issues. So the awareness is very, very limited, although KESCA is trying very, very hard to create this awareness so that more and more people will know knowledge of genotype and also know their genotype. In that regard, KESCA is doing genotype counseling, and also we are doing genotype counseling. We have an office which also do genotype screening. We do genotype screening, and we do certificates, and we enter 17 local government out of 21 local governments in Kebbi State, so that we make sure people know their genotype. By knowing their genotype, it will help people to prevent them from having children with sickle cell, because if you know your genotype is AS, and you know the person that you are supposed to marry is definitely not AS. So we are trying very hard to create this awareness throughout the community. Thank you.
When a child is given birth to and you know is assumed to have this issue regarding sickle cell, what's the first thing that a healthcare practitioner does? And I also have heard, I don't know how true this is, that if you're a sickle cell patient, your life is limited in terms of you don't grow beyond 21 years, for some 42 years, depending on how you are able to manage the sickle cell diseases.
So I would say that this hearing is definitely misleading, because I'm also a sickle cell advocate and also a sickle cell patient. I'm living now for 54 years of age. But sickle cell starts as early as 6 months. A child will be diagnosed with sickle cell. It will start with swelling of arms and feet. And then definitely that child needs to be taken to the health care. And then the doctors will now start putting him on treatment. They have to take normal routine drugs, which comprises of mostly folic acids and some vitamins. And then the child needs to be taken to the hospital frequently for care. So children that really get good care from childhood they normally live a very good life. Some of them, they don't have frequent crises. But you see a very bad cases of sickle cell where parental care is lacking. And most people, yes, we lose a lot of patients with sickle cell, but management and care is the key. When you have a management in the hospital and parental care, a child can really live his maximum lifespan. So honestly, the lifespan is misleading. That was a long time ago. Even when I was in the university, I was being told my days are numbered from my fellow colleagues. But in the class, we learned that it's just management and care, and which is what my parents tried their best. And I also get care from the medical personnel. So if the parents are caring, and anytime the child have this crisis, they make sure that we take him to get attention of the doctors. I don't think there is a limitation. Like we have elder patients with sickle cell. The last one I saw in my other groups was somebody of 82 years old, and she is still kicking very well. And I think that is it. Thank you.
Some people say it's very expensive treating a sickle cell patient, and that some of the reasons, of course, it was the fact that some parents are not able to foot the bills of, a patient when they finally get the diagnosis of a sickle cell anemia. For you, I mean, how expensive has it been for you and for your family, and then the resources that has come with it? Aside your own personal experiences, do you also have someone who has had an experience of not being able to take care of a patient that is under their care?
Definitely, I will agree with you that it do not come easy financially. You see, sickle cell have both economic and emotional burden to the patient and his parents. In the patient side, there is a stressful angle of having frequency in crisis, and on the parental side, there is angle of your child getting sick and you are rushing to take him to the hospital. The hospital will require to give the patient treatment. Sometimes he might even need blood. All these things cost me. So that is why you see most of our members that we lost are mostly from the rural communities where you have less money, less economic power. So you find out you miss those kind of patients. So for me, I've been very lucky. My father is very well-to-do, and he really took good care of me. He educated me in the UK. Because that time when I was born, we don't know much about sickle cell. So he took a bold step. He took me to England, and then he got me educated there. And that was where I started my school. And then from there on, I come back to Lisbon, go to university, I finish my degree. I started working my career as a banker for 23 years. So you see, the journey of sickle cell, honestly, for anybody is very, very expensive. And I believe it's mostly like any other disease that you are born with. It's also expensive. But managing a child of sickle cell disease, it needs financial assistance, definitely. And that is why we lose most of our members in the rural community because of lack of financial assistance. Thank you.
What are other major challenges that healthcare practitioners face in taking care of, a sickle cell patient, and how can these challenges be mitigated against?
Healthcare challenges. You see, when you present a child of sickle cell to the hospital, the most important thing is for that child to get immediate attention at the emergency. The first challenge comes, like I said, financially, because at the emergency, they will require you to buy some things. And then also, then they will start taking care of you. So it's a lot of challenges now to some parents, the financial challenges. But once you be the medical personnel, some most of our sickle cell patients, you find out when they're trying to get our intravenous veins to put us IV. Our veins, I don't know, it's very common with many of us. The veins are very thin. It's very difficult for them to get IV and put it for us, especially when we are during a crisis. So for them, it's a challenge to them. And then they need to control the crisis, because the crisis normally come in intense pain. You will enter the emergency crying, moving up and down, looking for relief. So for them to be able to calm us down for a time, sometimes they will put IV, and then they'll start giving us injections or some drugs to take care of the pains. So they need to be very attentive at that particular period until they see us coming down. Sometimes if it's anemia, sometimes we present to the hospital with a severe anemia. On that case of severe anemia, you see there is a danger in getting the blood quickly, or if you delay the getting the blood, you know, anemia also leads to heart failure. So they will be rushing, looking for the blood to ensure that they get us that blood on time before the heart now falls into heart failure. So for them, they must be very active, but at the critical time, most cases they are. But the issue is sometimes when you find a long queue at the emergency, and it's also a serious challenge.
All right. What is the standard treatment for treatment of the sickle cell disease?
Standard treatment. You see, as I will tell you the standard treatment as a patient, because I'm not a medical personnel, or what our doctors normally do when we enter crisis. You know, sickle cell crisis is like a blockage. There is this sickle cell gene, sickle cell, which is like a shape of this half moon, and that shape of the blood, it now passes into your blood capillaries, and it will block the vessels of your blood, and that is what is causing the extreme pain you are feeling. So what the doctors try to do for us, they make sure they flush it by using intravenous. Now they use our drip, they use drip for us. When they put drip for us, and now they give us some pain relief. It could be either an injection, or they will give us an oral, depending on the severity of the pains. They will assess the pain, and they will decide whether we needed IV or we needed oral. But when the pain is very severe, normally they give it to IV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that the government needs to apply some policies or create some policies that would help mitigate or maybe even champion a cause that would assist with treatment of sickle cell? And do you think there are policies that exist that takes care of it? And do you think more policies should be developed? And if you think so, what kind of policies should be developed around that?
Yes, definitely. I personally believe, and also the NGO CASA, we believe policy should be put in place so that to assist people not to have sickle cell. You know, they say prevention is better than cure. So if we have policy that says know your genotype before marriage, and then we have a policy that says attend to sickle cell patient at present, the moment he attend to emergency or anyway, attend to him first. And then we have a special clinic that will take care of our sickle cell patient. The moment sickle cell needs to be managed by hematologists. It's not any doctor that will manage sickle cell. But you find out some doctors come and they are managing sickle cell. But those hematologists, they have knowledge of blood disorder, any kind of blood disorder. So when they see a patient, they will not only treat the crisis, they will also look at the blood component and see what other things they need to treat. So having those personnel put in a care, in a unit that will just attend to sickle cell patient, it will help us greatly, because when we present to the hospital, we know we are not going to do at the emergency. We know we are going to go directly to that special unit made for us. So policies like that, we have already drafted a sickle cell bill, and we're taking it to the last assembly in Kebbi State government, and it went through second reading, and then the bill is we have to now go and visit this new assembly to follow it up, because that will really help our patients. It will also help the community, because they will be made to do their genotype before they get married. And I don't think anybody will now see a sickle cell patient managed by somebody, another parent that you know, and then you are wishing to have your own child with sickle cell. Definitely, if you know your genotype, and then you know the genotype or the spouse you are supposed to marry, and you see you have AS, he has AS, definitely you make a right decision because you don't want your child to be falling into that situation. It's going to be a life journey of pains. From the 6 months you are born with, continuous pain. It is a continuous pain throughout your lifespan, and you can only be managed when you have those crises, and it will come anytime without warning. It will come during extreme condition. It will also come during hot season, cold season, wet season. You don't know when it's coming. So knowledge of individual genotype is very, very important. And those policies to ensure it, it will also help the community.
When the attack happens, especially for those who live with the disease, is it different from person to person? Or is there a specific way that it comes to people who live with it, and how they mitigate it? Is it a helpless situation, not able to, hold off the attack, or that you are giving some signs that this attack is about to happen or is going to happen before it does happen?
Yes, definitely there is a do's and don't of sickle cell. You see, there is some things that if you do, definitely you are going to get an attack. Example is you walk through the rain. Some children like to play in the rain. And when they go out in the rain, they play, they come back inside. A child of sickle cell will end up having crisis. And then a child of sickle cell will not go outside the sun. Wait, he will get sweat, and the sweat will leave on his clothes. He will come and start going under the fan to dry up. That drying up will also trigger sickle cell crisis, you see. And then you also have conditions like harmattan, this whole season, where a child of sickle cell will now come outside without wearing socks or hat or any cover. She will go somewhere quickly to buy something and come. Then that child will definitely have crisis. And then, what do you call it? This hazard. Sometimes parents will ask their children to do some chores. You ask a child of sickle cell to go and fetch water for you. We have cases like that. They will go and fetch water. They will come back home and start having crisis. And then the dose of sickle cell is you avoid those things. Then you go for your daily routine drugs. Don't forget to take them. And also don't make sure you go to your checkup. We have weekly clinics. It's not everybody that goes for weekly clinics. When you go for that weekly clinic, the doctor will tell you next time of visit. So if you avoid those things, you know the signs. When you are going to have crisis, for us that are under patient, we know the signs. We start feeling it. And then when we start feeling it, we'll be feeling it. It will come small. Sometimes you'll be stretching your body, and it will be like that. Sometimes you'll be feeling something like chilling. It's going to be a sign. So you now have to start your home treatment by taking your medication. And then if you take the medication, sometimes it doesn't spread. But once you leave it and you don't take it, you just feel it moving, and it will go over your body. And then by the time you go to hospital, you'll be crying. And that was when the doctor will now be looking for IV to start flushing with the drip and so on. So definitely sickle cell have its own do's and don'ts. So what we do within KESCA in our NGO is we have a monthly members forum. On that members forum, we catch them young. We educate our younger ones so that they know the do's and don'ts of sickle cell, so that they know how to recognize the sign and take action. And then we get the mothers on quarterly parents forum. We now tell our mothers, this is what you should do to your child. This is the kind of food you should give him, and this is the kind of thing you should prevent him. Don't allow him to walk in the rain. Don't send your child to fetch water. This is not the kind of child you send to fetch water. Because once he's fetch water, the money you'll be spending in treating him, it will be too much. So these children, they need a lot of care. And they don't like stressful condition. When you stress them too much, it will trigger crisis. And when it triggers crisis, it's difficult for the child and it's also difficult for you. You find out the mothers, when they present themselves to the hospital, the child is crying, the mother is also crying. So you don't want to put yourself in that kind of condition. So anything that you can do to prevent it is always better for you. And that is my own.
All right. And speaking of awareness, really, I mean, I've seen people who, even with knowing their status, their genotypes, they still go ahead to get married to those whose genotypes are not compatible. You know, so you would wonder really, to what extent is awareness for those who even know help in mitigating some of these things?
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you. We have several cases of people that really know and they are well educated and still go ahead. They call it love. So myself, okay, I believe in love. But if you know your genotype and the genotype of your spouse is going to produce a sickle cell child for you, and you are still willing to go ahead with it, fine. Get ready to take care of the child. That is my own object. When I go for awareness, you can't say 100% people must listen to your voice, because this your voice is supposed to help them and it's supposed to help their future generation. But they said no, they want to do it their way because they like their partners, they can let go. My saying is, I always say, get ready for your sickle cell child. Get ready, because one chance of your children is going to be a sickle cell child. So get ready to take care of that child. When that child needs you, you need to take him to hospital. You need to take care of him financially, and you need to support that child. Educationally, you need to support them, because once a sickle cell child is supported, both financially and educationally, they are very bright children. They normally excel. You know, they excel in their future. They will have their own jobs. Then they start taking care of them. But taking care of a child with sickle cell disorder definitely is not an easy task. It's not an easy task. Both financially, as I said earlier, and economically, it's not an easy task. So, but still people want to go ahead. My saying is, get ready to take care of that child. You produce that child and you bring it to the world, and without this knowledge, so please take care of that child. It's not his doing. He doesn't want to be born with sickle cell. You are the one that choose that thing for him. So please get ready to take care of that child.
But is the risk worth taking? Is love enough to embark on that type of, journey?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how extent some people see love, But me, let alone, I always say, know your genotype and marry the correct genotype. Get genetic counseling, and that is, I'm an advocate, and this is what I'm advocating for: knowledge of individual genotype, and getting genetic counseling before marriage is very, very important. Nobody wants to have a sick child, let it be sickle cell, asthmatic, or anything. But sickle cell is a serious disorder, because once a child is born with it, as I said earlier, it will start with 6 months. And for you to have a journey of pains from 6 months to say like 54 years, it's not an easy task. Even in school, sometimes you miss schools. You miss schools, and sometimes at work, you miss work. So you have to work twice as hard as you are normal people. If you want to excel, you will not just be attending, doing normal things. You have to think of doing excelling, doing extra more, so that you'll be also rated to be a performing staff. If you have sickle cell, you have to prove yourself, because it's a challenge. It's a challenge that will not allow you to be a burden in your life, because sickle cell should not be a burden to any child. A child with sickle cell should learn to live with it, and should learn how to excel in life with it, because it will not get better, it will not get worse, but it will happen anytime. So you have to learn to live with it.
All right. Khadiza, Yahaya Shantali, founder, coordinator, Kebbi Sickle-Cell Association. Many thanks for your insights on the topic of sickle cell as it relates to its prevalence in Nigeria. Many thanks for your time. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you very much for
Signature TV. News in your pocket.